The Senate has rejected the 2023 to 2025 Medium-Term Expenditure Framework and Fiscal Strategy paper. MTEF PSP, which proposed a 6 trillion naira tax and import duties waivers proposed for in the 19.76 trillion naira 2023 budget, which also contained a deficit of 124 trillion naira. Joining us now to look at this is Arise analyst Kayode Otitoju. Good day, sir. How are you?
Good day.
Wonderful. Let's get straight into it. Now, the tax credit scheme basically enables companies with high tax profiles to construct roads in a negotiated agreement with the government to provide infrastructure instead of taxes. How are they getting away with not providing the social services that they're supposed to in order to benefit from the tax waiver?
Well, the tax waiver is such that you have your project being, put together, then they do bill of quantities, then they ask the company, instead of paying so much as tax, you do this much of infrastructure for my government. So there are some companies that benefit from that, like Dangote, the tarring of the road from Tinker Island to Tollgate near TVC. Then there was a time too, we invited Access Bank to come and do a field portion of Lekki Admiralty Road, And so, as part of a tax, concession, they did the road for about 200 million, and it was perfect. That of Dangote, I think, runs into billions. So, but there are some companies you grant such reprieve, and they don't measure up to standard. And even the ones we are talking about, like Dangote, at times the reduction granted them is more than, the saving, is more than the actual, project that they execute. But it's still better than tax evasion or tax tax evasion and tax avoidance. Once you know this is amount you are expecting, and you are able to get this much in terms of infrastructure development, you are still better off than when they waive it or they avoid it, maybe because they are big companies that can't be checked by the tax collectors. I think that answers your question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, still on the issue of tax credits, the Senate asked the Federal Inland Revenue Service to critically look into the abuse of tax credits by some companies. Are you optimistic that we'll get some revelations, that it will be fruitful, or should it be scrapped totally since it's been abused by some companies?
I think we can't throw the baby out away with the bathwater. In a way, Nigeria could see what is being used for. I mean, that type of arrangement, which is different from when the tax is avoided entirely. Okay? So the companies that are granted such privilege and they are misusing it, and once there is there must be consequence. All I think is government should know the way to monitor, and appraise, the use of such special privilege. Just like in case of fuel subsidy, you see that actually people who actually, benefit in millions every month, they are less than 100. Okay? And though they will say, yes, the effect is the fuel price is lower, because there is subsidy. But the real the real beneficiaries of such this thing are so few. And to my point, or to my own this thing, it's better that such subsidy, because in the 2023 projected budget, 6 trillion is already set aside for first subsidy, and the import tax relief, about 6 trillion again. And in that of tax, the revenue from tax and giving a sort of tax, through the customs
Import waiver.
Import waiver, thank you. I think the Senate should really insist that there shouldn't be waiver at all. Because where you give 50% blanket waiver, okay, that is an exclusion clause that will always be abused by the operatives in the port. That is, you bring your cargo, maybe it's what the custom duty should be about, say, 30 naira, okay? But because you can't pay, then you connive with the tax collector and say, okay, I will pay 10 instead of 30. Then 10 will be shared between both of us, and 10 is waived and as a loss to government. So don't give room for any manipulation. Nothing like, just make sure, instead of charging 50 naira as tax, if you know people will avoid because it's excessive, okay? Make the tax, the import duty, make it 10 naira that people will pay instead of 30 naira that will be avoided or compromised, either at the port. And what we are talking about is not just the babies that work in the port as a controller of port, even up to presidency. Because if the tax that should be that should be waived is up to, say, 20 billion, okay, they won't do it at port level. It will get to the Federal Executive Council. That is after it must have passed the Controller General of Customs, or if it is something that has to do with rent, port rent, it has passed the MD of Ports Authority. So you see that actually some of our people wants to work as head of those MDAs because of the loopholes that are there to be exploited to personal advantage,
And with all these many loopholes, I mean, we talk about it all the time. It seems like corruption is endemic in just about every corner of this society. In this particular one, with these loopholes and these leakages, who is the onus on to plug these issues? Is it the tax? Is it the FIRS? Is it the federal government? Is it individuals? Which body should overtake the policing of such activities?
It's still the presidency, because the presidency controls all the MDAs. Like whoever will be MD of Ports Authority, though it will be under Minister of Transportation, okay. But the person who we appoint and sign is Mr. President. The same thing customs. In fact, customs used to be, you grow through the rank and become the Controller General. Now, when President came in, he removed that type of thing and brought an ex-military man to be in charge. But is it the Controller General that does the job? No. It's the foot soldiers in the port.
Kayode Otitoju, thank you so much for always bringing clarity and fresh insight to these top issues happening in the news. And we look forward to having you back again very soon.